Well, hi everybody. This is Angelo Quinones, and you reached prolong the ed. I'll be mentioning that when we get into the aorist tense, that they have the ed sort of in the beginning, a little bit anyway. You reach Zion Ministries. Zion Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holiness about what? The Bible, the Bible. So that's just a deal. And so I am Ministries comes from Jesus saying I am so many times. He said I am something with an adjective, right? Or whatever the case may be, 9 times in the gospel, at least 9 times anyway. I mean, so you have it in 7 verses. So that's why, that's how I came across the ministry, because Jesus said, I am. And in the Hebrew, well, it's impeccable. It's even stronger. He used Ech in the 1817 and 1880 edition of the Hebrew New Testament. The first one, 1817, I have a copy of. Hopefully, my brother still has it back in New York. I relocated to the Philippines to my chagrin. It's just absolutely awful living here in the Philippines. I mean, I love my wife. I'm not saying nothing about her or my daughter, Anna Devane, that was just born, about 2 years ago. It's going to be on November the 2nd, Lord willing. But I just mosquitoes and they come like they know the schedule of dinner time. I mean, goodness gracious. But the mosquitoes that knock on our door and store and shop, actually, me not having a store or a shop, but that's just a deal, are the witnesses. Oh, they're the mosquitoes. They're just like the group. It's just like Gilligan's Island all over again. Remember that group, the Mosquitoes? You understand what I'm saying? The little album, the little giant mosquito on the beach. That's the witness. They keep on gnawing at you. They keep on biting you. They just keep on nagging you, to believe something that's a lie. It really is. Now, we're going to look at the full reconstruction of John 1:1, A, B, and C all across the board. And let's just read it. And the last time we were dealing with John 1:1, and this is Mega Series 2. Okay, I just want to identify it. Anything that has to do with a Mega Series is basically about an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours or 2 hours and a half, whatever the case may be. I mean, So I call it the Mega Series. The Mini Series actually is just like about 14 something minutes or 15 minutes, something, whatever. And excuse me, I have also a cold. I have a cold, and I've been crying a lot, when I was taking a shower, crying because of my daughter's condition. She's suffering of seizures, and that could be fatal. At a particular age, we have to get the MRI done, CAT scan done, EKG, check out the entire sort of system, and that's just the deal. So my heart is heavy. It's just really, it's heavy. Also, I was betrayed by a friend, just literally betrayed by a friend who promised something and didn't fulfill it and lied to my wife. So I come to you with this study, but with a very, very heavy heart, though. I mean, that's just it. So I just want to thank God for Fernando, my brother, who actually is helping out, and for everybody who's helping out my daughter, thanks a lot. Her name is Anna Devane, by the way. I got that name. Got those names from General Hospital, the secret agent, the spy, from the WSB with Robert Scorpio, Sean Donnelly, and all those dudes, It's hard to name a son Frisco. I mean, Frisco Jones. I mean, please. Let's get back to this. Let's recite it or read it in the Greek, okay? Now, this is a full Greek construction. Praise the Lord. He gets the glory, not me. We're going to look at what we learned before, the variant readings, the way to pronounce it, the different ways of pronunciation, and the do's and the don'ts of studying such a great verse. I mean, this is one of the deepest verses in the Bible. I mean, this is along with John 3:16. This is how deep that is. This is, okay? I just use the kanos and hutos, that's just the deal. Now, that's just it. So let's just read it or recite it, and we'll get into the Hebrew as well. Well, it says over here, Enerche ein halagos, kai halagos ein prostan theon, kai theos ein halagos, Enerche ein halagos, kai halagos ein prostan theon, kai theos in halagos. And I say theos because I'm lowering down the pronunciation of the second syllable, and you'll find out why it goes logos and then theos. Okay, you understand what I mean? And arche in halagos, kai halagos in prostantheon, kai theos in halagos, or the modern pronunciation, because I know some people are gonna squeal, and they're gonna say, "Well, Ange, you're not really giving me," people call me Ange, my friends call me Ange. Ange, people are not really. I mean, that's not how you really pronounce it, halagos and all that stuff. It's really all logos. It's like that. Okay, so I'll appease the folks. Energy in ologos, ke ologos in prostonteon, ke theos in ologos. Energy in ologos, ke ologos in prostonteon, ke theos in ologos. Energy in ologos, ke ologos in prostonteon, ke theos in ologos. Okay? Not to mention hutos or hutos. We hutas in prostanteon and hologos. The same was in the beginning with God, but no, the logos is not there, verse 2. So the same will be hutas in energe prostanteon. Okay, that's just a deal. Incidentally, I was debating J.W. Mark from Missouri. I mean, a Republican state of all things. He should be ashamed. Mitch McConnell, you know what I mean? Not giving, let's this wait and see attitude. And the Democrats have to be careful because they're doing the same thing almost. What's that guy's name that has a lot of power? I forgot his name though. I forgot his face, but Panim, just forgot. But he thinks he's in charge of the Democratic Party. I mean. So that's just a deal. But let me not get into politics. That's just a deal. But the thing is that, he said that there isn't another verse like John 1:1. I hope that Democrat comes into my mind, But they're I don't know why, because he's just like a Republican. It's just a deal. But there isn't another verse like John 1:1. Really? Did you ever read John 1:2? And then he uses it now. He never used it before. You understand? And then he says, "Oh, you guys got your Trinitarian goggles. Your goggles. Your Trinity, you guys." I think that Jesus bought those goggles for me, that I could see the Trinity, that I could see the deep things of God. You guys are blind, spiritually speaking, because I'm legally blind, So I'm not diamond on blind people, because I'm legally blind myself. Okay, I have my handy dandy, police whistle on one end. You know what I'm saying? And my magnifier on the other side of the string. So that's just it. So it's spiritually blind. And, John chapter 9 covers that aspect of things. The people that say that they see, therefore your sin remains. You know what I'm saying? And if you were blind, then you would be able to see, or then you would see. Jesus called the Pharisees blind. They could see. They weren't blind. You understand what I mean? They weren't like the guy from the Acts of the Apostles, Praxis Apostolon, that had to be, helped. Basically two people. The apostle, Saul, before he became the apostle, and then Simon or somebody, I forgot who became blind in the mist, the darkness, and people were leading him by the hand. I wouldn't have touched the guy. Okay, I want to touch the guy with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, this guy just became blind, and you want to touch me? Get out. Okay, it's sad. Let the judgment of God fall upon me. But let's give you the Hebrew side of things, okay? Now, let me see if I have the Hebrew app here. And I know I do, but let me see if I could check it out for you guys, okay? I hope I have it handy dandy right here, you know what I'm saying? And so I made a Theos paradigm. I don't know, what is this? Says cancel. I better cancel because it's going to stop the recording. This is my handy dandy recorder right over there. I made a Theos paradigm because I couldn't find any. I don't have a Greek noun paradigm book. So I made the Theos paradigm myself, and to my chagrin, because the thing is that that it was just erased or something like that. I don't know what happened to it, But it's an easy paradigm to do. But it's just a pain in the neck, though, to lose that, But let me give you the Hebrew anyway. Theos, Theu, Theo, Theon, and throw in there The for kicks. And then that's just the deal. And then Theoi, Theon, Theois, and Theus, not to mention the feminine side of the chart, Thea, and probably Theos, and then Thea again, maybe, and Theon. Probably Thea with iota subscript, you know what I mean, for the dative case. But I never saw that paradigm, but that's probably the case. Theon and Thea are there with an alpha though, so that's just a deal. And the Tain will match the Theon in matches the Theon in case anyways. Okay. In Praxis Apostoloniacs of the Apostles, chapter 19. Now, but let's look at the Hebrew, though, okay? So let's go to John's Gospel in the Hebrew. Okay, I didn't do this before. So before we go on, in the deeper end of the pool, I want to check out. Check it out. Okay, so that's chapter 2. This is chapter 1, and then that's just a deal. It says over here. Okay, Bereshit Chaya Hadabar. Vahadabar Chayaim. That doesn't say that though. I'm so used to im though, so I'm sorry about that though, guys. This is 8 over here, Hayaim, Ha Elohim, Va Elohim, or Wa Elohim really doesn't make a difference to me. Haya Hadabar. Okay, now Bereshit Haya Hadabar. Vahadabar Hayaim, Ha Elohim, Va Elohim, or Wa Elohim, Haya Hadabar. Haya means was. It's one of the meanings anyway. And the reciting comes from the 1817 Hebrew New Testament, translated from the Textus Receptus of all things. It's a nice text there, though. And we kind of downplay the Textus Receptus, but the Textus Receptus is a great, Greek New Testament. It's not accurate in some instances. I understand that, but in many instances, it is accurate. Okay. Okay, it is accurate. So it's not an evil text. It's not an evil text. It's a good text. Is it the greatest text? No. United Bible Society's Greek edition is better. The Tyndale House is better. What else is better? The Nestle Allen text is better. I mean, of course, you have the ancient manuscripts, so that's better, of course. Okay, P66, P75, all across the board, except for manuscript C. I mean, that's just peppered with empty spots, or just like no spots altogether. Okay, and when I mean spots, I mean like ellipses or whatever the case may be, or just blank spots, or just damaged. It's peppered with damaged areas. Let's just face it. It's only the prepositional phrase in manuscript C, Ephraimi Rescriptus, which is from the 5th century. So it's an ancient manuscript of the Gospel of John. And it only has a prepositional phrase in arche. Okay? So, manuscript L is complete, and it even gives you more than meets the eye. It gives you the extra article, making it 18 Greek words there, and so it has hatheos in John 1:1c, which I affectionately call this a Syrian section, because if you're born again, you're going to believe in the deity of Christ. There's just all this to it. Like if the witnesses, which whine and squeal, well, they which whine and squeal because they don't have the deity. They don't believe in the deity of Christ, so they don't have the new life, okay, of Christ. That's what I was trying to say, in their bodies. They don't have the Holy Spirit in their bodies. Okay? They don't have the Holy Spirit in their bodies. That's just all there is to it. That's why they're none of His, and so they don't believe. So that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get an unbeliever for a person who's not born again. That's just all there is to it. They're not gonna believe these things. You understand what I mean? If I have told you earthly things that you don't believe, how about the heavenly things? It's impossible. Bereshit haya hadabar, v'hadabar. Okay, hayaim, Elohim haya hadabar. Okay, so that's just the deal. So haya means was. So there's 3 Hebrew words right there. Dabar, okay, means what? You understand what I'm saying? And incidentally, that's found and recorded in, I believe it's Psalm 33, verse 6. But in the Hebrew text, I gotta check it out, because in the Greek Septuagint, it's actually Psalm 32, verse 6, that Logos is found. Okay, so I gotta check that out. Maybe I could do that, after the study, and I'll bring it to you tomorrow. But it is, I just got you the 2 languages basically. Bereshit haya hadabar. And so that means in the beginning was the Word, and the Word, Vahadabar, was haya, with God, im ha Elohim, and the Word, okay, va or wa for and, hadabar, and but no, and it says actually, and God was the word. To copy the Greek. Va or wa Elohim haya hadabar, actually, like that. You know what I mean? So the bar, dabar, means what? Haya means was here, and then you have Elohim twice, and then you have Reshit, and which means beginning, but Reshit means in beginning, translated in the beginning. And then so that's just and then so ha is an article, is found 4 times here. So there you go, right there. And then wa or va is a pronunciation, either or is okay for the word and. Okay, and so that's just it. And basically, be means in is in the prepositional phrase bereshit. So that's just it. I mean, so dabar means what, and that's just it. Now, let's go to the Greek side of things though again. Okay. All right. So let me just go like this and poke the bear in the eye. You know what I'm saying. So NRK, we saw that NRK is a prepositional phrase that's very, very important, because N is showing you the preposition. It's showing you, it shows a preposition shows the relationship between two things, or a person and a thing, or a person and a person, or two, like that. It's showing you the relationship that Logos has with Arche. That it's not over the beginning, that he's not over the beginning, under the beginning, alongside the beginning, he was in the beginning. Now, Arche is found 55 times, Logos is found 330 times in the Greek New Testament. The prepositional phrase enarche is found a few times in the Greek New Testament, including Philippians chapter 4, verse 15. We went through that. Even though the NASB doesn't have in the beginning, the Greek has enarche. Okay? Of course, in the dative case, arche is in the dative case, the case of interest. Okay? Now, so that's just that deal. So we saw that the spelling is E, and then the V-looking letter. It's sort of a capital E, right? So that's an epsilon. That's kind of easy in Greek. So that's, that's epsilon, like in the word 10, okay? So if you were to transliterate, okay, 10 from English to Greek, okay, you could use the T and the epsilon and then the nu, okay, capital nu, if you want to just absolutely see it completely like the English has it. But this is the key. There is another form of the N, which is nu in Hebrew. It's actually, in Greek rather. In Hebrew is noon, N-O-O-N, like good afternoon, like that. Greek is nu for N. Now, nowadays, in modern Greek, you call it ni, like I hit my knee, The name is different, but the pronunciation is the same. It's n, like Nilda, like my mother's name, Nilda Hruchi, you understand what I mean? And so that's just it. So the V-looking letter is always an N in Greek. A little tiny V-looking letter in Greek is never to be pronounced V, like victory, but it's to be pronounced N, like in Nancy, okay, like that. So anyway, that's N. And then arche, we found out that that's an alpha, rho, chi, and eta. Nowadays called eta, but we're not talking about modern Greek. This is the problem. That a lot of people get so excited when they find the modern way of pronunciation of Greek that they shove it, they push it into the biblical pronunciation of Greek, or the standard pronunciation, or whatever you want to call it, So they push it into that, and then you have things sounding like participles, you have accusative singulars sounding like genitive plurals, and then that's just and then you have, and it goes like that with the article as well. Instead of ton is tone, so you have like a genitive plural, ton, you know what I mean? So you have chaos. You can't mix. You shouldn't mix it. And if you want to stay with one, then stay with one. If you want to pronounce it in the modern way and explain it away, like I'm doing, giving you the standard pronunciation as well, or the biblical pronunciation I like to call it, well, do that. If you want to stay completely with the biblical pronunciation, well, just stay with that. and just pronounce it and just pronounce it like that, and then give the audience a little bit of information and say, well, there's a standard way, there's a modern way, I should say, rather, of saying it, and in your study you say it. Alpha looks like an A, so that's okay. We went into the soft breathing marker. It looks like an apostrophe over the A there, the alpha, I should say, which means rising, by the way. The alpha means rising in and of itself, okay? And so there's like almost an apostrophe over it. It's not an apostrophe. It's a soft breathing marker indicating something. I disagree with some scholars that say it doesn't indicate anything. It's there for a reason. It's to indicate something, even though there's nothing, okay, there to pronounce by way of a rough breathing sound. Well, there still has to be a marker to indicate there isn't a sound like that. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So say, at least in biblical Greek or standard Greek or whatever you want to call it. It's a lot of designations for the standard pronunciation of Greek. Now, the next letter looks like a P. I'm at the second letter. Remember, you read Greek from left to right. It looks like a P, but it's not a P. It's an R in Greek. Ro. Don't say ro. It's very lazy. Now, I'm in cahoots with the Greeks because in this aspect that you could push into, the standard pronunciation, is the pronunciation of the ro. If you can do it, it helps. Okay, instead of saying arche, it's kind of lazy. It should be pronounced arche. Arche. It's very hard to pronounce. I mean, if you want to pronounce it arche, everybody should know who knows Greek what you're talking about. Okay? Okay. So, and I think the pronunciation goes like, I think the paradigm goes something like this, arche, arches, arche, archein. Okay, and then you got the plural. And the plural actually is found and recorded in verse 10 of chapter 1 of Hebrews, beginnings there, where the Father calls Jesus Jehovah, actually, from Psalm 102. Remember that tetragrammaton is found in that Psalm 102, 9 different times, okay? 9 different times in that Psalm, and throw in there the boot, El, which means God, is the singular, and that's just it. Could it be the singular because he was talking about Logos there? I don't know. Incidentally, some witnesses say, well, your Trinitarian formula doesn't make sense, or your belief, you're leaping and making a leap. Well, it sounds like the recovery. Be careful with if you're a witness out there. You sound like the Church of the Recovery of Witness Lee, okay? You sound like them because if you're saying, you have to make mental gymnastics, well, you're borrowing something from the Recovery Church, something that Witness Lee actually used himself, or Watchman Nee, okay? So just be careful that, you diamond on the churches, and you should diamond on a church like that anyway. I have no issue with somebody who dimes on the Church of the Recovery. It's a bad church to be in, okay? I mean, they don't believe in the Trinity. They don't believe in a whole bunch of things. I mean, you can get into my study and see the dangers of the Recovery Church, of the Church of Witness Lee, But you're diamond on them, you being a Jehovah's Witness, and then you're using the same lingo, mental gymnastics, you know what I'm saying? So, that's just a little bit of hypocrisy, hypocrisy. So, the Hro. And then you have the X-looking letter, which is not an X, it's a CH. Not K, but you know what I mean? And so you have the N-looking letter, which is not an N, it's an E here. Now, in the modern sense of it all, it's an I, actually. It's an I class, but we're not talking about that. But I'm just mentioning that. But let's go back to this, okay? Arche. Okay, 2 syllables. Arche. Then you have a little tiny I underneath. You have 5 letters here, okay? On the screen, but you don't pronounce it, archei or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or archi, or whatever it may be. Okay, like you were pronouncing the diphthong. I don't think there's a diphthong eta and iota, alpha, iota, omicron, upsilon, like that. Epsilon, iota, right? You have like 7 or 8 diphthongs on page 20 of Manual Grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana and Manti, which I think is the greatest manual of all. I mean, listen, Mounts and Dan Wallace, I mean, they have wonderful manuals. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I think that Manti's manual should really be revised and just, put up in center again. Even though Pontellier has to be changed and stuff like that, I know. But probably Dan Wallace's manual and Mounce's manual, and I love those guys, those great human beings, Christian people, they're going to have to be revised too. It's always like that. They're going to have to be revised. I mean, they're going to have to change what they taught. I mean, even Augustine recanted and stuff like that. But the Greek there's always new discoveries. So what are we going to do? I mean, we're going to poo-poo Dan Wallace's Beyond the Basics and Mounce's Basics for Biblical Greek because there's going to be changes in the future? No. So why sort of throw away the baby with the bathwater in getting rid of in our minds Dana and Manti's Manual Greek Grammar, the New Testament is absurd. Okay, we wouldn't do that with A.T. Robinson. And a manual of, even though it's smaller, of Manti's greater than his teacher's manual, A.T. Robinson. Well, anyway, so that's a little tiny I indicating the case that RK is in. And I already mentioned the cases in the sort of the classic way, the 8 cases or 7 cases, and then in the modern way, you have 4 or 5 cases, and people want to really shove out the door the vocative or the vocative as a case, and they can't do it, so they're forced to even say it in their manuals. It's just insane. We want to make it so easy for people that we're really, really dwindling down Greek. You know what I mean? I think the method of not really remembering all of the paradigms, the method of not, being necessary to remember all the paradigms. I understand that. That's a lot of work, and a lot of people can't do it. And there's a lot of time, too. Hello? Anybody there? Oh, okay. So, NRK. So, in beginning. Now, I already mentioned that in the beginning, the actual the here, te. Okay, not even here, but the actual article te is not even in a text. It's not even necessary. And you still have in the beginning in the New World Translation. Hello?
Hello, Papa. I get 1 egg.
Where? Alright, so that's just my stepdaughter. She wants an egg. Okay. Alright, you have your eggie? Bye-bye. Alright, so that's just a deal. So, NRK means in beginning. But I said in the other study that, if it was necessary, Tay would be here. Now, test the witnesses. Because actually, I spoke to Alexander Cruz, a Swami from Brooklyn, JW/Unitarian, which he lost the debate, the Trinitarian debate with yours truly, and I praise God for that. It's just like debating a thug, actually. It's like a nice person and a thug at the same time. It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And I wasn't testing him in that debate about Arche, so I take that back, but it was in another debate. It was an Arche debate, if you want to call it a debate. It's just... And so he didn't even know how to spell the English. Forget about the Greek. He didn't even know how to spell the English. You understand what I'm saying? A-R-C-H-E like that. Come on, man. You don't even know how to spell the English. You don't even know how to spell the Greek, and you're telling me that Jesus is not God in this text. You know nothing about any of the cases that I spoke of. He knew some Hebrew and Greek words. But that's it. Basically, these Jehovah's Witnesses are getting their Greek or whatever the case may be from a lexicon, which is okay, but it doesn't make you proficient in Greek. It doesn't let you know how things tick. And not only that, they look at the Greg Stafford James White debate, which James White got splattered all over the man, and I'm a Trinitarian, though. And they say, well, I'm going to learn Greek via that debate. You can't learn Greek by looking at a debate, though. You can look at some, Qualitative. You don't even know what that is. That debate is not going to go into the degrees of adjectives, the positive degree, the comparative degree, the superlative degree. And it's not going to, help you out in the kinds of adjectives, the adverbial adjective and the predicate adjective and attributive adjective and the substantival adjective. It's not going to tell you those things. You got to look at a manual. You got to go to college. You got to learn by yourself, okay? Or you got to go. You got to be a self-taught person, or just go into college and learn that way. These people look at debates and campaigns. Oh yeah. Oh, I know Greek now. I mean, theos. Theos. Logos. Logos. You know what I'm saying? Some people even say logos. What's that? There's no omega there. Okay. If you're checking it out via the standard pronunciation, logos. I mean, you don't see any logos there. You don't see any omega there. I mean, we all do that, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I guess I might slip up as well. So hey, but it's no te there in the middle of the prepositional phrase, and it's still definite. And it will be te because the article paradigm in that side of the singular pool is actually to te to. So I mean, this is a feminine word, so the to is out of the question. You can't put to in there. You have to put te, and that's the only article that will match, okay, the upcoming word arche, singular, feminine, and dative, okay, te. So you test the witnesses, they're not going to know. They're not going to even know. And they're witching one and complaining about theos being anarthrous, and then Mark from Missouri didn't even know what anarthrous meant. And he was looking at the debate and campaign. He didn't even know what articular means. And then he went on to say, before we get into this, into the pool, and then he was saying that the accusative case means that it has an article, and then the nominative case means that the noun doesn't have an article. I mean, this is nonsense. The nominative case has to do with designation, okay, designation. And then the accusative case has to do with limitation as to extent, the extent of the hearing, Praxis Apostolorum, Acts of the Apostles, chapter 22, verse 9. Okay? Echoing something that was read back in Acts of the Apostles, in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 9, verse 7. Okay? Not that they didn't hear the voice, they didn't understand the voice. You see, the accusative case is giving a limitation as to the extent of the hearing. It's not that they didn't hear the voice, it's a contradiction. And the King James has that. They heard the voice in verse 7 of chapter 9, and they didn't hear the voice in chapter 22, verse 9. What's the deal? Either they heard it or they didn't. So the NASB cleans that mess up along with the NIV and says that they didn't understand the voice, you see? They didn't understand the voice. Not that they didn't hear it, though. It's not, the gospel of God is not yay, and nay, nay at the same time. Martin Lloyd-Jones called that politics. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get back to this. So in our case, we found out that the object of the prepositional phrase is arche, and it means beginning. Now, let me just say this right off the bat, okay? As I really study this word arche, it has a semantic range. It has a semantic pool. Okay, so arche can mean beginning, but it can mean ruler. NIV has ruler for 3:14 of Revelation, that Jesus was the ruler. Be careful calling him the beginning, because it's called the Amen there. Okay? You can't be the Amen and the beginning at the same time, unless you're talking about, the first and the last like that. Because Alpha and Omega is called the beginning anyway, so what? You call Jesus the beginning. Now, if you call him a creature, how can it be the Amen? There's only one person that's called the Amen in the Bible, and that's God. See, Isaiah 65. I got to check out that verse 65. I promise I'll get it for you, because I have a study on YouTube on Isaiah around 65, and it's talking about the great Amen. Let me see if I can find that, though. Okay? Let me see if I can find that, though, on YouTube. But I'm not going to find a verse, though. But I do have, I don't think I have a load today. Let me see. Is there a load there? Because I'm in the Philippines. I do everything by load, Stimulus update. That's the deal. We're not getting much stimulus. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so let me see here. Okay, let me see here. I'm gonna write this over here without me, messing up everything here. Because I'm recording, so I don't know if I could be online at the same time like this, though. But anyway, I'll get it for you in the future, but you know what I mean. No, it says it right. It has it right there. So let me see if I could do it. Angelo, Angelo, KYKY. What's the K? K. Oops. Wait for a second. KYKY. Is that KYKY? Let me see. I'm using a magnifying glass, guys. KYKY Rucci, Angelo Kiki was what? Was sung? War song? What? I don't even know what this is. Let me see. Angelo. Oh, Kooky. Thanks a lot for calling myself Kooky. My goodness gracious. Okay. Let's just kindly reverse the process. Kooky. Yeah, it's okay. I've been called worse. Angelo. Let me see here. So let me just press that. And then let me see if I can find anything of me there. Or how about Angelo Rucci, though? Now forget about Angelo Kiki, though, because that's the other channel. So let me just RU, which is CCI. Angelo Rucci. Now, how did I spell it? So I'm doing a bad job here. Okay. Just go back over here. I'll do this later, though. I mean, because this keeps on getting bigger. Just forget it. So anyway, I just wasted like about 5 minutes. I mean, it's just a deal. So anyway, just go to my channel, Angelo Rucci Quinones, and then you're gonna see. Okay, you're gonna see the Amen, and that's actually proving that Jesus is God. Okay, now He is the God Man. Let's get this straight. Just because we call Him God doesn't erase His second or be nature. Okay, remember Labon, participle, present active participle. Okay, taking the form of a doulo or a slave. I mean, He has the two natures. Can't be blended. He's not the anthropic, it's the anthropos, okay? You can't blend the natures, but you can, separate the natures in this sense, not to make two persons out of Him, but to actually delineate or teach the natures in a good way. Okay, that He has nature A and, not or, and nature B, or nature 1 and nature 2. Okay? That's the deal. Now, RK has the semantic range. I mean, it can mean beginning, it can mean ruler. Julius Armenti said that it's not proper to call people beginnings. Okay, I'll say people. Okay, persons. It's not proper to call anybody a beginning. Now, he said there's nobody called the beginning in the Bible. I differ, because Alpha and Omega is called the beginning and the end. So, I mean, that's where I think the only time in the New Testament that somebody's called the beginning, okay? But that's Alpha and Omega, and so it can mean beginning with persons, okay? But it also has another word describing, okay, the Alpha and Omega. So I would say it more perfectly that, and praise God for this, that there's no one called beginning in the Bible without another word describing that person or persons at the same time. How about that? Okay? So it's showing you the relationship that Logos has with RK and is doing that. Okay, and it's taking the dative case. Now, some prepositions all prepositions take one case. Some prepositions take two cases, or some other prepositions takes three cases. Okay, like that. Okay, meta, that takes two cases. Okay, kata, that takes at least two cases, and takes one case, right? That I know of. And then pros takes one case, the accusative case, and takes the dative case. So they're taking the case. Okay, it goes along with the case. Okay, is our case the object of the preposition of the prepositional phrase. Okay. Now, even if you take the NRK out, okay, and you have logos was, well, I mean, was what? So I mean, he was in the beginning. It makes more sense. The subject is logos. Okay, that's in English. It'll be in the subjective case, right? And then so that's just the deal. So he's the subject of the verb. Now the verb ein is a very interesting word. That's eta and nu, nowadays called, eta and ni, but we're not talking about modern Greek, we're talking about Biblical Greek. And so that means was here. It's an Amy word. If you trace it, it's an Amy word. Let's do that, okay? Let's go to another app here. And that's just the deal. And hopefully I have John 1:1 there, but I don't think so, though. Because I was debating Mark the other day, a Jehovah's Witness, and I was going around the board. So these things are very handy, you know what I mean? I mean, having a Bible on the phone, I mean, that's crazy stuff. Who would have thought about that like in the 70s or 80s, even the 90s? That's John 1:1. Wait for a second. I don't need to do anything else. That's it. You see? And I pressed it though. Okay, so let's just put it there, I guess. You better be one. No, it better be one, because the thing is that to scroll back is practically impossible. Okay, that's just it. I don't know why it's not changing though. Okay, it's not changing. I don't know why. Okay, now change. So I'll just press go, and that's about it. Yeah, I'm having a difficult time with this phone today. I'm sort of finding my, Angelo Rucci account and all that other stuff. Now, so that's just the deal. Now you see a little bit of the paradigm, half of the paradigm in this model over here. Okay, arche in the dative, and then when you go down, you get arche. That's in the nominative. Okay, so you see two of the 8 constructions for arche. So you see 2 of them in there anyway. 2 of the 4 in the singular. And then when you go to was, okay, let's check this out. Okay, you see here the tense is in imperfect, mood, and that's indicative, and then voice, that's active. Okay. Now, the indicative mood has to do with the projection of reality of the writer or speaker. Imperfect tense has to do with a continuous action, okay? And the active voice has to do with that logos, the state of being of logos, okay? He, okay, was doing the action. He was the one subsisting. And I use that from huparkon. You understand what I'm saying? It's not the passive voice. It's not the middle voice, but it's the active voice. Okay. Indicative is not the subjunctive. Okay. He might be in the beginning or something like that, or he may be in the beginning. No, but this is the indicative. Okay. He was in the beginning. I got 20% left on the phone. Okay, so all of these parts, okay, these 3 parts, A, B, and C, we like to call them A, B, C. I like to call them alpha, beta, and gamma, even though the gamma is not a C in Greek. there are uh, declarative indicatives. There are there are complete clauses. Each of them is a clause, right? A perfect clause in and of itself. It's not like the you know the infinitive clause that you need something else, something incomplete. This is perfectly. These sentences could perfectly stand out as individual sentences. In the beginning was the what? Okay, and the word was with God. All right, and the word was God. There is a progression of thought going on here. Not only did the Logos subsist eternally, timelessly, continuously, but number two, that's the title of subsisting or subsistence. The second title of this verse will be under the umbrella of intercommunion / relationship that he was with someone else, but doesn't stop there. Not only was he with someone else, he was the very same nature. He was equal, according to nature is concerned, with the person that he was with in John 1:1b or beta. Okay, that's the key. That's the rule. So Ain, okay, let me poke the bear here with the number, and that's 1510. And incidentally, it's transliterated as en, just like the preposition. That could be confusing. Well, the lexical form is Amy, though. Amy. This is from the Amy paradigm. Okay, so Ain. If you look up Ain, you're not gonna find Ain. Unless they're talking about it, but they're not going to have Ain in the heading. You have to go to. You got to see Amy when you go back to trace when you trace 1510. Okay. Transliteration EIMI. And then the definition is I exist, I am. Okay? Is that what I mean? Now, the Ain is in third person, though. Let's see if they have that there. Okay, Ain. And they do have that in third person singular. They have the 3 and the S there. And that's just the deal. Imperfect I, indicative I, and A has to do with active. Has to do with the voice, active voice. Spell out eta and nu. So that's easy enough with a soft breathing marker. So it's not hey, it's A and a circumflex. Okay, so that's Ain. Nowadays you'll pronounce it in. And archi in o logos. Que o logos in prostonteon. Que te os in o logos. Like in, you know what I mean? It won't be Ain, it will be in. Nowadays. But we're not talking about nowadays, okay? That's just it. Now in Hebrew, it will be haya. That will translate this Greek word Ain, haya. It means was also. That's just, has a semantic pool. But also haya is in the imperfect tense, just like the Greek is in the imperfect tense. You understand what I'm saying? The imperfect tense has to do with an action, okay, basically in this situation, a state of being in past time, okay? Because you have action verbs and you have verbs that have to do with state of being. Okay? I ran, that's action. I am, well, that's just the state of being. Hello. Yes, what do you want now, Mary? Okay. That's Mary again. Now, that's just a deal. So we have over here was, okay, like I said before, eta and no. And so that's haya is translating in, and it means was. But this is very striking. What? Because like I gave you in the scenarios earlier before, okay, before that it doesn't say NRK. Let me see, NRK. Egeneto or egeneta halagat. So it doesn't say that the word emerged. Now, that word, egeneta or egeneto, actually is found and recorded okay, in verse 3 of the things being made and emerged, or whatever the case may be, they had a starting point, at a beginning. That would have been the perfect word for the witnesses, but it's not there. It doesn't say NRK apoyas en hate as tan lagan. It doesn't say NRK egeneto ha lagas. It doesn't say NRK en ha huyas, NRK en ha angelas, NRK en ha Michael. It doesn't even say NRK. Okay, NRK bara Elohim hadabar. In the beginning, God made the what in Hebrew. Okay, that's just, those 6 scenarios, 2 repeating repetitions of each other, 1 and 6, are not here in the text. What's the word? Ein. That's a continuous word. Now, let's check this out. Let's check out a basketball game. Let's use a basketball game as an analogy. Okay, where you're looking at the basketball game from, it's kind of too far away, but let's say satellite. It'd be very far, okay? It'd be like a speck of dust, but anyway, who cares? But you're looking at a satellite picture. Okay, so the picture is close, but a parade. That's a snapshot. That's in the aorist tense. That's a completed action. But let's say you were, one of the drummers in the parade. Well, you're talking about, okay, the imperfect tense. Okay? Your continuous sort of a thing. Okay, the aspect is continuous. Okay, that's the deal. The aspect is continuous. Okay, that's it. So that's why we say that Logos enjoyed timeless, eternal, continuous subsistence, to borrow Huparkon from verse 6 of chapter 2 of Philippians, Has and Marfetheu Huparkon, who being in the form of God. You understand what I'm saying? Well, the word being there is a present active participle. That means he was still God at the time of the writing of that of us. And not only that, he's still man. So he still has a body, according to Labon, taking. That's another participle, but in verse 7 this time. So he subsisted as God, but he took the nature of man, and he became in the likeness of man. You understand what I'm saying? Now, how can he be in the form of God and not think about doing a seizure? It's ridiculous. Okay? He did not consider equality with God, not consider himself to do a seizure or something like that, whatever the case may be. Let's see how the witnesses have this thing, though. Okay, the witnesses, them. Let's see where's that translation. Oh, let me see if I can find that. It has to be maybe in the second page. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's right here, right? Where is it, though? Where's the New World Translation, though? I think is this the New World Translation right over here? This is the thing about using a magnifying glass. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, where is it, though? Oops, that's the Hebrew, though. That's the Hebrew. Let me get back, though. Wait, let me just press the circle button. So, that's the clock. Okay. I can't find nothing today. My English teacher would kill me. It's really anything, but who's counting, you know what I'm saying? The Greek Septuagint, where is the New World Translation, though? When you want it, it's not there, I never want it. That's just the deal. So, I think it's right here. NWT. Is this it right here? Let me see. I should know it by the commercial it has, because it has so many commercials. Yes, this is it right there. This is what? Loading. What's this? I think this is the New World Translation. Yeah, New World. Oh. I hope it's still recording, because it's like radioactive. You know what I'm saying? Every time you try to record it, it conks out. You know what I'm saying? Let's check it out. New Testament side of things. Okay, New Testament. Oh, what a wonderful translation, Oh. Where's John? So that's just the actually Abajos. Is this is John 1, and then right there. But we weren't doing 1, though. But I want to see something anyway. In the beginning was the what? and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. Really a God? Where does the A come from? There's no paradigm in New Testament Greek with an indefinite article side of things. There's no Enas and Mia and Ana. There's no haste here in the text like Mount said. What's that? Didn't Dan Wallace say there's 10 different ways that a Greek noun can be definite without an article? And this is one of them right here, the predicate adjective. Right? It doesn't look anarche. Why do they have anarche with an article? With the why did they translate anarche with the article da? So they're picking and choosing. Wait a minute, there's no article there. So why not say in a beginning, but doesn't have an article te there. So why have the da? So you're picking and choosing all over. As a matter of fact, you're not a good liar. The witnesses, because in verse 3, okay, in verse 3, and this is chapter 1, there, let me see, came. Let me see over here. All things came into existence through him, meaning through Christ, Logos. Why doesn't it say all other things? Just like in verse 16, in verse 17 of chapter 1 of Colossians. You have other 4 times there, 2 times in each verse. Why not have it here? See, you can't lie and get away with it all the time. You're just going to get caught. It doesn't say all other things. You see? There are 7 Greek words in vines and 5 Greek words in mounts that means other. Okay? On page 451, and mounts is, and actually vines complete as possible dictionary all New Testament words. That mean other. Alelon, heteros, heis, loipos. I mean, just to mention 4. And you don't see any Greek word that mean other there in those texts in verses 16 and 17 of chapter 1 of Colossians. You don't see other here as well. Why not say all other things? You see? Because probably one committee said, oh, let's stick in other things, and then another committee just had it like the way it is. Pantadia tu agenita. Incidentally, agenita I just told you is not even found and recorded in verse 1 of this chapter. Okay, that's the see. All things became. You see that word? All things. Let me see over here. All things came into existence. Okay, why doesn't it say in your New World Translation, Logos came into existence? Why? Doesn't have it there. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses couldn't squeeze out a lie like that from the Greek, because it says was. Now, if it said agenital, they would have put that there. It's guaranteed they would have put that Logos came into existence. Yeah, he had a beginning, sort of. You know what I'm saying? Then he was brought forth. Then he emerged. You see? See what I'm saying? That's just it. Let's get back to this, though. Now, I forgot what we were talking about when it came to this, though. Why did I bring out the Jehovah's Witnesses translation, though? Ain was, Logos. I forgot about that. But I'm getting old. So what are you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Incidentally, I see hutos here or hutos. I don't really want to say hutos too much because hutos sounds like a verb, adverb. Okay, found and recorded like in the Praxis Apostolon around verse 11 of chapter 1. In this manner. That's why you see. That's the thing. Hutos, hutas. I mean, it sounds like the same thing, but it's not. Hutos is different from hutas. You know what I'm saying? Hutas here is after. Was written after, Logos. Logos is the antecedent of hutas here. Hutas is a pronoun, and a pronoun means in place of a noun, right? To break up the monotony and all that stuff. Well, the antecedent of hutas is logos, you see? It doesn't take the remote antecedent, it takes the nearest antecedent. The rule of Akanos is different from the rule of hutas, okay? The rule of Akanos, meaning that or those, actually is much different. It means it takes the remotest antecedent. The rule of Hutas, either this or these, I mean, takes the nearest antecedent. I hope I said that right. It's hard to spit out. You know what I'm saying? So what am I saying? Well, first, John, 1 John chapter 5 verse 20. This is the true God. Well, this is referring back to Christ. Same verse is referring back to Him. The nearest antecedent. So, I disagree with Mary J. Harris. It's a great book, Jesus is God, but I disagree with the study on 1 John chapter 5 verse 20. Just disagree with it. It's very easy to disagree with. Okay. Even he talks about the rule. I believe did he talk about the rule of somebody else about a Kenos and Hutos? Haas. That's just the deal. Well, that's just it. So ain, I mean, is in the imperfect tense. Egeneta is in the aorist tense. Now, what's the difference? Well, egeneta, okay, the things that were made, okay, the things that came into being. See, egeneta means like came into existence, came into being, emerged, has another apt translation. You understand what I'm saying? That's a completed action. That's in the aorist tense, okay? In the aorist tense, you got the aorist tense, you got the imperfect tense, you got the perfect tense, you got the future tense, you got the, And so the deal is that, this is because it's an ED word, if created, if you will, right? Like, for example, apoiesin. Well, that's an aorist tense. And don't get me Acts of the Apostles, chapter 2, verse 36. It's easy. I can make you who you are. I can make you a famous basketball player. I can make you a famous singer. I can make you a star. This doesn't mean I put you into a test tube and created you from scratch. Remember, kings made other kings, something. Okay, a king, kings made other people kings in the Old Testament, in the Book of Kings, I believe. And so then I think in the Book of Kings it says that God is greater than man. So, I mean, it's no surprise that Jesus said the Father is greater than I. Just look at my study there. Full Greek construction of John chapter 14, verse 28. You know what I'm saying? Well, we look at the comparative degree in the word greater. Meson or meson or mizon or whatever you want to call it, So that's just it. So ain is a different. I mean, it's even brought forth. No pun intended. By a book, by a Greek commentary of the Greek New Testament, Gospel of John, by Manti and someone else that I forgot his name. I don't have the book with me. It's in New York. Hopefully, it survived the flood in my brother's house. Though I mean, just 50% didn't. 50% of the things did not survive the flood. And by the way, I disagree with you. Hugh Ross is a wonderful person, but that the flood in Genesis was a local flood. I mean, come on, man. How are you gonna have seashells on top of mountains? I mean, give me a break. Okay. I mean, how are you gonna have the Ark of Noah resting on the arid mountain? It's a satellite picture to boot, 1950 something or whatever it was. Come on, man. I mean, I love Hugh Ross, but there was a local flood. I mean, you don't have to say that. You change your views. Probably he's gonna have a recantation list like Augustine, and it'll probably be in one of those, the ridiculous lists, So, but I love Hugh Ross. I mean, he's just wonderful. He could debate anybody on creation or whatever the case may be. Debate an atheist, whatever the guy. Because he's a wonderful guy. But a local flood? That's the only thing that I heard of that I understand anyway. And check out the RUFO hypothesis DVD. Wow, my God, he does a great job, Hugh Ross, on the DVD. Okay. Reasons to Believe. Get that DVD from Amazon.com. It's wonderful. It's incredible. It's impeccable. I agree with everything there. I'll tell you that. Residual UFOs, RUFOs. The RUFO hypothesis? I mean, goodness gracious. Well, anyway, guys, my stomach is hurting me, man. I got this is like I went to a gasoline place. I got a lot of gas, you know what I'm saying? And the gas that people have been hearing for years from the towers, there's a lot of gas. Okay, that's just it. Speaking about gas, I'm just saying. This is like they parked themselves, the Burger King castle. Well, they moved out of there, next to a gasoline station. You know what I'm saying? Magic wheat and corn, Great Pyramid of Egypt is on par with the Bible. A worldwide tour. He never made anything of the kind. Okay. Now I was talking about Acts chapter 2 verse 36. I'm gonna see if I can spend some time on that, because you see the answer there in chapter 10 of the same book, where he anointed Christ. He anointed his son. That's how he made him Christ, and then made him Lord. Well, it's the same process. Preaching is making Jesus Lord there in the day of Pentecost. God has made something in the New Testament. I got to get that verse. Poel is the word. What? Somebody made God? You see? Well, we'll get into Logos, at another time. He's found and recorded, okay, in, the Greek has it in the Septuagint, Psalm, but is it Psalm? I think it's Psalm 32, maybe verse 6 or 5, something like that. I mean, it's different in the Greek Septuagint, you know what I mean? But it says Logos there, It's wonderful. That's Logos, hundreds of years before Logos came, was manifested in the flesh, That's just it. Well, I mean, what did we learn in this study? I mean, we rehash basically the prepositional phrase in arche, and then the object of the preposition en is arche, and the preposition en is showing you the relationship that Logos has with the beginning, that he was not alongside the beginning or over the beginning or under the beginning, but he was in the beginning. He was in the beginning. He was at the time of creation. Okay, but before we get into the wrap-up, complete the wrap-up, I mean, Jehovah's Witnesses will probably say, yeah, but the angels, according to Job chapter 38, verse 7, just look at, verse 1 and 2, and all that other stuff, they were in the beginning. First of all, verse 7 doesn't say they were in the beginning, anarche. It doesn't say that in the Greek Septuagint. I checked it out. It doesn't even say it there. Okay? Oh, but you got to check the context. Yeah, that's what I want you to do with John 1:1. Got 2% left on the screen. Oh, I have to go. But anyway, because then the recording won't stick, But basically, we learned that we learned that ain used for Logos is completely a different word and a different tense than egenita in verse 3. Those things emerged. Okay, those things were created. We even saw in the Jehovah's Witness Bible that Logos didn't come into existence at any point. Now we also rehashed the titles of the verse. You can break it up into three component parts. Okay, subsistence. That's number 1. Number 2, intercommunion/relationship. That's number 2. Number 3, okay, nature/essence. Okay, that's the third title for this verse. There's a progression of thought. Not only was the Logos subsisting, but number 2, he was subsisting with someone else, and number 3, he was the same nature as the other person whom he was with. Okay, we saw that Greek nouns, you can be definite without having a Greek article. Okay, we saw arche and we saw theos. Okay, as a matter of fact, manuscript L has the article anyway. Okay, in John 1:1c. Okay, that's a later manuscript, but there is a manuscript that has manuscript L has an article, the article ha, which is a nominative singular masculine before theos. But I better go because the battery is going to run out, and then this study is going to be for naught and not. Okay, like Martin Lloyd Jones likes to say. Well, anyway, subscribe to my channel, give me a like, and please, more importantly than anything, give me a comment, and also give me a comment of what you want me to do, because this is a full Greek construction. Before the Lord takes me home, I want to give you all the full Greek constructions of the arguments that Jehovah's Witnesses poses against us, and even more. Okay, so I hope I do that before I go home to be with the Lord. Full Greek constructions, left and right, and I hope I could come back with another study. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory To God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and in the Holy Spirit. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And it means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are still alive right now. And it also means, well, not there, but it also means this, that Joseph Franklin Rutherford lied when he said now millions now living will never die, and they're all basically dead. And if they're not, they're hanging by a thread. You understand what I'm saying? Abraham and Isaac and Jacob didn't come back. They didn't return. And that mansion, Beth Sarim, that the witnesses made, okay, no pun intended, made, was for themselves. Joseph Franklin Rutherford died of cancer in that mansion. And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom were supposed to return, well, they didn't return. Another lie by the tower, lying to their own people, deceiving their own people, to the point of them going into perdition's flames. Well, this is Angelo Quinones. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now. Bye.